to Bad Movie Beatdown. Today we're reviewing Mark Steven Johnson's next film, which is a romantic comedy? Ah yes, When in Rome, which is exactly what happens to your career after Hollywood realises you screwed up and the offers dry up. This is purely work for hire for Johnson, made clear by the fact that unlike his previous directorial efforts, he did not write the film's screenplay. No, he just left that to the writers of Old Dogs. You know it's going to be bad when the movie sells itself as being from the studio that brought you the proposal, which is one of the most tenuous claims you can get. The movie also received a serious critical bashing, with Metacritic ranking it as the 8th worst chick flick of the last 20 years, alongside fellow review targets such as All About Steve, Bride Wars, and The Ugly Truth. And hey, what better recommendation for me to review it? Welcome to the Colosseum, When in Rome. I'm the Lion. So our film opens in New York, where we open with art curator Beth, played by Kristen Bell, at her latest event. Yes, I'll admit it, the only reason I watched this is because I have a crush on Kristen Bell. It still didn't help. As you might have guessed, she's a workaholic, and this obviously must have been a script that Katherine Heigl turned down. She's also unlucky in love, as her recent ex Brady shows up.
You cared more about your work than you did about me.
Yeah, I remember when you broke up with me in the Applebee's.
I get it.
I think he said he gets it.
Oh, he gets it!
Yes, thank you, we don't need the running commentary from the peanut gallery of idiots.
I met someone who works just as hard as you do. We're getting engaged!
So he went to the art show purely to tell her that he's marrying someone else? What a dickhead!
That's getting engaged!
Did I just hear that right? Beth Martin is getting engaged?
I'm not getting engaged. Not to him.
It was very nice of the movie to hammer that non-joke into submission. 2 record scratches in the space of a minute. I feel like I'm watching a trailer. But Beth's day is going to get worse as her sister Joan arrives saying that she's engaged.
His name's Umberto. We met on a flight to Italy 2 weeks ago and now we're getting married.
2 weeks? Holy shit, woman! Slow down a bit! He could be an axe murderer for all you know!
2 weeks, Joan. That's not even enough time for a credit check.
You just know.
Ah yes, the mythical one who you'll be soulmates with forever. Even if you believe that phony old myth, it's still 2 weeks! It's 1 step above a Vegas wedding. Oh, and Beth's bitchy boss is Celeste, played by Angelica Houston, and Houston speaks every line with disdain, evidently aware of the quality of the script she's working with.
In 9 days, we'll be hosting an exhibition centered on the theme of pain.
I can only assume this movie is the centerpiece.
There is one detail. The day after tomorrow, my sister will be getting married in Rome.
Well, we all have sisters, Beth.
The Circle of Gold Gala will go off without a hitch.
It better.
How dare you take a leave of absence over your sister's wedding? She'll probably get a divorce in 2 weeks. I'll continue to snipe at you in your absence. Have a nice trip. So Beth makes her way to Rome for her sister's wedding as the taxi driver takes her past all the recognisable landmarks and one that isn't, the Fountain di Amore. Even the name sounds fake, like the writers were flicking through an Italian dictionary looking for the word love. Yes, I know, it's based on the actual Fountain of Love, the Trevi Fountain, which also looks nothing like the comparatively small fountain in the movie. Anyway, Beth arrives outside the church, where they have a huge church all booked up, ready for the occasion. You not only want us to buy that they got hitched in such a short time, but they also got a huge church that quickly? This isn't even Hollywood fantasy, this has all the naivety of a 10-year-old girl. So Joan and Umberto get hitched, which happens completely off screen, which is a telltale indicator that there's a lot of material lying on the cutting room floor.
Having a good time?
You know me, I love small, intimate weddings.
If you're gonna be a bear, be a grizzly, right?
Yep, throw an expensive and extravagant wedding for a guy she's only getting married to because she thinks his name is cute. That sounds like a wise decision. Then again, Beth's father, played by Don Johnson, also gets married to beach volleyball players, so he's probably used to spending a shitload on weddings. Johnson is uncredited for his part, incidentally, which means he made the wisest career move of his life.
Come on, it's vase breaking time. It's what? The number of pieces symbolizes the years of happiness she wishes for the bride and groom. So smash it hard.
I wonder if she'll have trouble smashing it. Holy shit, is that vase made out of adamantium? It's also fitting given that it's blindingly clear to everyone that this marriage is going to last roughly 15 minutes. And yes, they beat this gag firmly into the ground. She's not so much beating a vase as a dead horse. Luckily for Josh Duhamel, the props department changed vases to the one actually made of earth materials. He's Nick, the convenient American, and he's accident prone.
I was up in the hills. I kind of got hit by a goat.
You hit a goat?
No, the goat hit me.
Oh god, they've gender swapped Jessica Alba and Good Luck Chuck because the gag works so well there.
Tell me he's a good guy.
Oh, he's a saint.
They've known each other for 2 weeks.
That's not even enough time for a credit check.
He had the same fake dialogue as I did. He must be the one. As you might have guessed, Beth is falling for Nick. She follows him outside when she catches Nick kissing another woman and gets the wrong end of the stick. Normally romantic comedies keep that plot point to the end of the second act. A drunken Beth decides to get in the Fountain d'Amore, where romantics come the world over and throw their coins in looking for love. For reasons which can only be described as the plot says so, she starts taking coins out of the fountain, causing those that threw the coins in the fountain to fall in love with her. No, seriously, that's the plot. It's remarkable how Beth manages to take 5 coins out of a Roman fountain, and they all manage to be both male and American. The last coin is actually a poker chip, which we're led to believe is Nick. So Beth travels back to New York, where she is chased by Italian artist Antonio, played by Will Arnett, who wants to look at Beth's feet so he can draw them. Not creeped out yet.
Hey, this is you. This one too.
Let me explain. 2 days ago, I see the face of love. I cannot paint your feet.
You came all the way from Italy to paint my feet.
No, to earn your love.
If I started drawing a woman I'd never met before and started chasing her through the park, I think she would call the police. This isn't funny, this is borderline rapey. Moving from one obnoxiously unfunny character to another, it's narcissistic model Gail, played by Kristen Bell's real-life partner Dax Shepard.
This is my portfolio. Here's the crown jewel. I am the gassy guy.
Our jokes are hilarious.
I'm Gale. I took on that name because it's the most powerful force in the natural world. You can feel it.
More like breaking wind, derp-dee-doo.
Our next entrant in this contest of annoyance is Lance, a street magician played by John Heder.
Pick a card, and I'll show you my heart. Now place it back in the deck. Is this your card?
I believe that particular dating technique is called the Mollaram. When Beth gets to the office, her sister gives her a call.
What were you doing in the Fontana d'Amore during my wedding? I'm looking at a picture of you. It's front page news over here, sis.
Apparently Rome had a very slow news day that particular night. And yes, you are seeing that correctly, Joan and Umberto are naked as they explain what the fountain does to Beth, which is sort of a half joke and not a particularly good one at that.
Where's my Slater Bradley? The insurance company totally wanted to jack up the rates in an effort to be more assertive. I told him to shove it. That means I have no centerpiece for the circle of gold.
Why would Bird Brain do such an impossibly stupid thing like that? Oh right, because the plot says so. Welcome to When in Rome, when characters act like aliens who are only partially familiar with Earth customs. Conveniently, Nick turns up, and it conveniently turns out that the artist Petrocelli made a picture of him that Beth can use as a convenient new centerpiece for the show. This is because Nick was once struck by a bolt of lightning. This isn't so much a plot convolution as a plot pileup that you just can't take your eyes away from because it just gets worse by the minute. Oh, and here's someone who really should know better.
This is Mr. Al Russo, our newest patron.
I'm sorry, have we met before?
In my dreams.
Yep, that's Danny DeVito as Al, a sausage salesman. If you don't get it, the sausages look like penises.
I am like a curator of sausage. I mean, there's not an emotion that can't be expressed through sausage.
Do those even count as single entendres?
Want to play cat and mouse? I can play cat and mouse.
Did the director just tell everyone to mug and be generally annoying as possible? The direction makes the premise even more stupid, the romance even creepier, and the comedy even more repulsive. This is like a date movie for creepers. Beth encounters Nick outside and they try to patch things up, with Nick explaining that that was Umberto's cousin. That's when Antonio and Al show up and scare Beth off. It's at this point you realise that without these annoying side characters, this movie would only be 30 minutes in length. Beth gets home talking to Joan about how she could solve her problem, which she says can only be done by returning the coins.
It's me, left.
What are you doing in my apartment?
No one's ever done it. The mummy escaping under 3 minutes. Juan, what's my time?
3 minutes and 53 seconds.
Yes, you really did see that correctly. Pedro just turned up. What? Why would you put a Napoleon Dynamite reunion in a romantic comedy? I tell you why. Because it's a complete act of desperation. And no, she doesn't call the police about the breaking and entering. It's obligatory rom-com montage time now. And the wackiness is off the charts. We've got giant nude paintings and all sorts of crazy stupid slapstick shit. This montage feels weird. Like they just cut out a few jokes from some deleted scenes and just pasted them together. If that's the case, then at least they're trying to get us through this quickly. Nick hasn't delivered the centerpiece for the show yet and tells Beth that he will only give it to her if she goes out on a date with him. Also, there's a reason why they made him clumsy. Don't know how to end a scene? Just add a stupid pratfall and it's an instant punchline. The restaurant Nick takes Beth to is one of those sensory restaurants where you can't see. If you can't tell what the gag might be, you're not so much in the dark as outright blind. Why, yes, this is a random excuse for actors to bump into things under the supposed pretense of comedy. And you know, there is a reason why movies don't often do scenes entirely in night vision. This is almost as bad as the time the Rollerball remake did an entire action scene in night vision. Oh hey, a black screen is preferable to watching this.
Beth, it's me, Al Russo.
Look who it is, Principes. Does anyone have the time?
Oh god.
Yep, didn't see that one coming from a mile off. And do sensory restaurants normally allow weirdos in night vision goggles to come in? So they scrapped that location to go and have a nice, peaceful walk around Beth's art gallery.
Her name was Marie-Therese Walter. Picasso was already married and 30 years her senior, so they kept their affair a secret. And he left Marie-Therese. But Marie-Therese never stopped loving Picasso. She hung herself after his death.
Wow, what a romantic story to tell on a date! This is not at all a grinding shift in tone from the insipidly stupid slapstick a few moments ago. You know, using someone's real-life suicide as a way of talking about Beth's relationship problems is really cheap and insensitive, by the way, because the problems of a fictional character do not compare to an actual person who really did die. Back at Nick's apartment, Beth looks at the picture of Nick going to be used as a centerpiece. Wow! It looks like a 3-year-old flicked white paint in a publicity photo of Josh Duhamel! So in case you're wondering, yes, this is meant to be the moment where we're meant to cry because they're falling in love and this is the bit where all the sad things happen. Yep, it's the end of second act misunderstanding cliche. Yes, a misunderstanding is breaking up these characters again! I thought we did this at the start so we had it out of the way, not double dip our overused cliches. She believes that Nick is under the fountain's magic and is not actually in love with her.
I don't get it.
I know you don't, Nick, but it's not real.
Well, what about the photograph?
Keep it.
Yeah, keep that centerpiece of my exhibition even though I have nothing to replace it with. I'm just gonna go and get fired tomorrow. Bye. And now there's sad music over autumn-tinged shots of New York, and it's even raining. That never happens in the movies unless people are sad. Joan calls up Beth, telling her that she can break the magic if she simply returns the coins to each of her suitors. But then...
This is for your own good, boss.
Yeah. Oh, I gotta go. Good luck at the show tonight.
What? Why would she do that? You know why they had to dub in that line, don't you? It's because that doesn't make any sense except to make the movie longer. The plot convenience fairy strikes again as all the guys show up at Beth's door. She invites them in and tells them the truth.
You don't love me.
No, I know, but
I'm in love with someone else. I love Nick. I love him even if he might not love me back.
I understand. We all do.
Movie, don't try and wring sympathy for these characters that only existed for slapstick hijinks. It's completely insincere. Beth realises the coins were taken and she needs to race to the Guggenheim to follow Stacy to the exhibition. She does this via the aid of wacky slapstick comedy as they all bundle in a tiny car owned by Antonio. Because foreign economy cars are funny.
No, Antonio, the door!
You must all
You know, if this wasn't a movie about a magic fountain that makes people fall in love, this would be stupid. No, it still is. She arrives at the Guggenheim to find that Nick sent the picture to be used as the centerpiece and everyone bloomin' loves it because this This is make-believe happy land. She finds Stacy and gets her to hand over the coins. Speaking of pointless things...
Somebody we want to introduce you to. Shaq.
How you doing?
Yeah, your guess is as good as mine as to why Shaq's here. It is his best movie role since Scary Movie 4, though. Anyway, back on track, Beth starts handing back the coins to her suitors, with each of them explaining how she was their muse and gave them confidence they hadn't felt before, which is meant to make us less sad about her rejecting them or something. All I know is this is complete BS when we didn't know these characters for a second before they started following her. So Antonio turns out to be an American and she dislikes Gail the most, which is obviously a funny in-joke to no one but Shepard and Belle. She calls up Nick, telling him that she loves him even if he doesn't love her back. Yep, you guessed it, he chases after her during a freak electrical storm for no apparent reason. Well, at least it isn't taking place in an airport.
Not again.
What are you doing here?
You didn't think I was gonna let my boy do this all alone, did you?
Really? The best friend showed up at that exact moment? The amount of sheer coincidences in this movie is enough to make your head explode. Lance does some stupid trick which makes Beth chase after the poker chip, don't ask, sending Beth right to Nick in another painfully corny moment. Nick convinces Beth that he isn't under the spell and that he really does love her. Cut to the wedding. In Rome, of course! I guess the movie's wrapping up now.
I, found that in my bag of tricks.
Oh my god, it's Nick's. He's still under the spell.
God damn it, movie! Stop protracting the inevitable!
A marriage is like all contracts. If there's anybody here who has a reasons that Beth and Nicholas should not get married today, speak now or forever hold on to your pieces.
I haven't seen such tasteful Italian stereotyping since Pistachio Disguisi, and really I expect nothing better from the guy who played the villain in Paul Blart Mall Cop. Beth can't go through with the wedding knowing it's a lie and hands back Nick's chip, except it isn't.
Why do you keep giving me my poker chips?
You threw it in the fountain and wished for love.
No, I didn't.
Dio mio!
So the priest threw his poker chip in there looking for love? Okie dokie. So now that you're 10 minutes closer to death and having gone right back to where we were before with nothing to show for it, the movie ends with a blatantly green screened in Pedro. Except it doesn't, because during the credits the cast continue to embarrass themselves further by dancing through the credits. You know who's conspicuous by their absence here? Angelica Houston, who had no doubt something much more dignified to do. Not that dignity is a thing that anyone escapes with in this movie. The movie is basically written like a cartoon, with these broad, one-note characters who do stupid things repeatedly over and over again, when it often doesn't make any sense in context. This cast of talented comedians are both completely wasted and incredibly irritating, and the film's idea of love and romance is startlingly naive even by Hollywood standards. The film shows clear signs that someone hacked it to pieces trying to salvage it, but there is nothing to rescue but dusty old rom-com cliches and dismal slapstick. Not even the charms of Kristen Bell could save it for me. I'm Matthew Buck, beating down bad movies everywhere.